global south, Anshuman.
Absolutely, and India has always projected itself under Prime Minister Modi when it comes to playing the India's soft power on the global stage, an economic as well as a social bridge for countries who've been quite voiceless when it comes to the global agenda. I want to bring in Payal Mehta also on this discussion. Payal, this part of the Prime Minister's interview, and he's, time and again talked about the youth agenda, the power of the youth of this country, and in this line, he puts it on the global level. Our democratization of the G20 Presidency is our investment in the capacity building of the people, especially youth of various cities across the country as well as the globe. So Prime Minister Modi also saying that when it comes to the future of the world, especially when India at the center stage of that entire agenda, the youth are the central pillars of any global developmental push.
Well, the Prime Minister has highlighted this in as many words in that interview that is given to our network. And like Aman was pointing out and like Anand was also pointing out, what are the principles that India is doing this entire meeting on? It's on Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which means essentially the world is one family. And obviously it's the welfare of the world that India is really talking about. Ayushman, India is not talking about a journey which is merely in lip service. We have proved it. The agenda of the government has been Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas. That means the work for all, by all and also for the benefit of all, taking everybody into account as well. So obviously that is something that the Prime Minister has really spoken about. India is on the path of becoming the world's fastest growing economy, and the Prime Minister said multiple times, including very recently when he said that when his government comes into power in 2024, the first thing that they would be looking at getting a clear thing on is to become the third largest economy of the world as well. So India is speaking from a position of strength. India is speaking from a position of intent, and India is speaking from the work that they've really done. We work towards green energy, we work towards clean energy, we work towards the empowerment of the youth, we work towards the empowering of the women, we work towards empowering of the last person standing in the line. The Antyodaya policy of the Modi government is something that they've been highlighting every now and then, and whether it is Maxine Maitri or whether it is supplying medicines during the COVID times to the developed and the underdeveloped countries, India has stood at that platform and has spoken in that respect as well. So obviously that is something which the Prime Minister will continue to highlight, and he's been saying that you can only progress when the under progress as well. So obviously that is a voice that he's really raising, and that voice has not essentially been raised by many developed countries in the world as well. So obviously Prime Minister doing another first this time around, speaking about India's growth, India's story, taking it yet again to the world. It is happening at the Bharat Mandapam. We are going to tell Bharat's story, we're going to tell India's story to the world, and obviously what India means and what India's intent really is as far as this is concerned, given the fact that we fought inflation, we fought various crises. For example, when the Russia and the Ukraine crisis really panned out, we were successfully able to bring back 21,000 of our children back safely home. We've been able to bring back our citizens from Sudan and the other places as well. So all of this has been happening time and again. It's a stable government. It's a government which has worked constantly towards the welfare of the people and not really gone by populist measures. Had made sure that there's no pressure whatsoever on the middle class, particularly in terms of the taxation that the government has been really saying that the inflation across the world is at a much worse level than what we see here as well, and there's constant effort being made by the government to ensure that at least the benefit of the policies reaches to every strata of society. It's not a government which is giving out doles to people at the behest of being a country which is distributing freebies. It is of course giving benefits that is going to help the society at the large. So a very comprehensive pitch being made by the Prime Minister is going to be very important, coming at a very crucial juncture, because you'll have world leaders at the Bharat Mandapam on the 8th, 9th and 10th. It'll be important to see what really happens, because this is one pitch that the Prime Minister really spoken about. He said that everybody needs to work together, everybody needs to come together, and that's why the world is one family and the welfare of the entire family is the most critical at this given juncture.
Right. I also want to bring in Pallavi Ghosh into this discussion. Pallavi, when Prime Minister Modi leverages India's soft power on the global stage, he gets criticized, that this is no more than a PR exercise. But we have seen the diplomatic impact of that leveraging of soft power, and that comes through in this interview where he says, when global leaders meet me, they are filled with a sense of optimism about India due to the efforts of 140 crore Indians across various sectors. They are also convinced that India has a lot to offer and must play a larger role in shaping the global future.
Well, many of us who've been growing up and reading up from schools and colleges, we would often talk about and know and be taught about two kinds of world, the developed world and the developing world. So India would always fit into what was called the category of developing country or the third world. I think the Prime Minister has very consistently tried to make the pitch that please don't put us into that category, because we've certainly moved beyond that. And that's the pitch he makes in his interview to us in that moneycontrol.com as well, when he clubs, the three, the troika he talks about, Brazil, Indonesia, India, so essentially what it's not been an easy journey really for us. First of all, we are a highly populated country with different tugs and pushes. There are people with different language, different culture, different wants and aspirations. To bring all of them together on one stage has certainly not been easy. And many of us, for example, when we travel abroad, there must have been occasions when we have come across a very condescending look which fellow Indians got when they were studying abroad. They were seen as blue-collar jobs, and Indians don't do any other white-collar jobs or cerebral jobs. All that has slowly and steadily increased, which is why I think the Prime Minister makes it a point that when he meets the Indian diaspora, no matter wherever he travels, even in a small country like Papua New Guinea, many were surprised that there was a large Indian diaspora over there, thereby making the point that we are spreading out our wings all over. We've contributed to the economy of that country, not in terms of only what is seen as menial jobs, but also in the cerebral intelligentsia as well as the white-collar jobs as well. So much so, as the Prime Minister says it, and to use his words, the world just cannot do without us. I know the critics will say that the G20 presidency what came naturally to India because it was our turn, but I think we've tried to use it, at least the government has tried to use it as a turnaround moment. Behind those many preparations which are taking place is going to be some real firm standing which is going to come in from the government. What we are being told consistently also by our sources is economics and trade will figure prominently, and that's where India is going to try and send out a message, and definitely will, that it's all very well that you want us to import from you, but it's going to be on our terms. There's going to be a protectionism, but at the same time we are also going to be Atmanirbhar, self-reliant, standing on our feet, and the world needs to get that message. I think that captures the crux of what the Prime Minister has told us.